Okay, folks. So, new type of intro here. I'm setting up Andre's the pop culture guy, special guest co-host on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. I'm introducing him. A la, back in the day when they would introduce the star or the host of the show or whatever, Just think of me as like, as the guy on Jeopardy that would introduce Trebek, So here to moderate for our next weekly review of Alien Earth Episode 4 is special guest co-host Andre's the pop culture guy, the wonderful.
Oh my God! I got a little word in my heart right now. You say wonderful. That is awesome. Hello, everyone. This is Andre's pop culture guy. As Jeff just wonderfully introduced me on the moderator of today of the Alien Earth Episode 4, titled Observation. Of course, that's directed by hopefully I can spell this right. I've been practicing. Olga Adoro. The director.
I saw that this show has some directors that have some really weird names pronounced.
Yeah. She's from I think my English translate here is Iceland, and then of course it's written by the showrunner Noah Hawley and this other gentleman Bo Back. His last name is it's a little difficult, but yeah. And of course this is episode 4. Of course Jeff has TrueKnowledge, the co-host of MCU Bleeding Edge, and of course the awesome co-host here as well, Cyberneticshark. How you doing, sir? Anyway, Saber is doing good. Anyway, so
eventually, sir, he will respond. He always does.
Yeah, he will respond. Yeah. So, anyway,
I'm good, sir.
Anyway,
that reminds me of when I used to work at the ARC, the American Retarded, whatever, events or whatever. When I was a kid at the restaurant I worked at, my mom managed or whatever. You reminded me of some of the people that I would see, and serve or whatever at the events.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh yeah. All right. So we're getting to episode 4 here. Of course, observation, and let me preface this. I thought this episode was a good, consistent episode from the show, but I gotta say it was a very slow episode.
Fuck you, Andres. It was a filler episode.
Yeah,
episode 3 was not a filler episode. You were wrong.
Oh my God. All right.
Actual filler episode, sir. I know you're moderating, but I'm straightening you out right now.
Well, hey, that was my opinion. I didn't know it was going to be another filler episode.
When you said that about episode 3 or whatever, the hair on the back of my neck bristled, and I was like, what's he talking about?
What did say something from last week than this week? Oh my God!
You said episode 3 was a filler episode.
It sort of. I mean, it was like we're literally setting up yet again a different location and all that. Anyway, as I said before, yes, my bad. Last week was not a filler episode. We had some action here, but for this episode, it was really a filler episode. But I mean, in a good way. It wasn't a bad way because we had some intriguing developments going on. That'll be kind of interesting to see in the next few episodes. We had a cool, ending. I was not expecting, but overall, it was a filler episode. So let me get to you, Jeff. Just brief opinion about episode 4. Do you like it? Dislike it? Go ahead, sir.
Well, again, I'm just busting your balls. I did mentally. I forgot to say anything to you about it last week. I wanted to say something to you, but I forgot, because I was waiting for my turn. You know how that happens, but I did take umbrage in that you saying that. I wasn't like upset or anything like that, but I was surprised that you labeled episode 3 a filler episode just because, in my opinion, when it comes to the criteria of a filler episodes don't have pivotal, important, valuable scenes or events, you know what I'm saying, or whatever that occur. You know what I mean? In multiple, occasions. episode 3 had, powerful, moments and scenes that impacted the show overall, and had some big, moments, and reveals, and what I'm saying, a lot happened. You know what I mean? And it furthered the story. Episode 4 is the opposite. It barely at all budges the story at all forward for the show of episode 3. Nothing really changes. You're not, by the end of episode 4, we're not really, we haven't pushed very far down that storyline for the season at all from episode 3, Episode 4 was sort of like an extension or like a reaction, like the day after episode 3, kind of, you know what I mean? I think that it was the shortest episode so far, if I had to guess, without actually looking at the, at the numbers. I would assume, based off of my feel for the episode, that it was the shortest in length, episode 4. Could be right, could be wrong. I don't know. But it seemed short to me. Like it was maybe, like it was short. Maybe like 1 or 2 of the scenes, that we've gotten in the other episodes, with the black interludes. But again, I could be wrong. Time can be funny sometimes. It could have been, a 57-minute long episode. I just didn't even realize it. I think in an 8-episode slate for a season, it's only natural that episode 4 or 5, are typically going to be your filler episodes. They usually are. You know what I mean? It makes sense. They're right in the middle, of the story. You know what I'm saying? You want to have your build up in the beginning. You know what I mean? Of whatever length, where you have momentum in your story, and you're giving the tail. Then you want to have kind of like your fall off, or like your pause of the show. You know what I mean? Where everything kind of slows down, for a minute. And then you want to have your climax at the end in the final 3 or 2 episodes or the finale. You want to have that climax, that build up, right? Where it builds back up, to a high level, to a fever pitch, right? That's like sort of like television, storytelling, like 101, going back to like back in the day of television. That's like, the basic structural concept of how you write, a decent TV show. You have that mantra, that, that scale, of how the episode should work, the story should work, in terms of, up, then you slow it down, have it go down, then you go back up, so I don't know. Cyber or a lot of other more, more cinematically, knowledgeable, that understand these theories and know the words and all that could probably explain what I was just talking about a lot better. But I think that at the end of the day, not to get too far away from the the overall question, I think that a lot of times for some shows that come out really good, well received from jump in the first couple episodes, sometimes it can be kind of really impactful or make or break almost how those mid-season episodes that are kind of fillerish are handled, like how they're pulled off. You know what I'm saying? That does have an impact, I think, on a show. It's not going to ruin it or make or break it, but if you don't do enough, and make enough of an effort to, still pull off a quality episode, even in that middle tier of episodes of the season, where you're going to have that drop off kind of, or that, that stillness, or, that still, sort of energy, you know, where you're just doing like flashbacks or, you know, backstories or, you know, stuff like that, you know, pure dialogue episodes, that, you know, how those episodes are done can really impact, you know, that season, you know, and you know, and the episodes that come out after that, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, my point, I guess, simply is just that, I don't think a lot of people will ever talk about how, valuable and how, you know, important overall to the success of a TV show, it is, you know, how, how well done, you know, those, you know, crammed in middle episodes on any show of any length that are always there, you know, and always occur, and then how they're handled, you know, how those episodes come off, matters, I think, you know, and, overall, I felt like, episode 4 really slowed down pace-wise, 100%. And, you know, for the first time, really, it really heavily focused on like 1 or 2 locations, you know, like they only shot a couple of spots for everything. You know what I mean? It was a very constricted, you know, sort of episode where like everything happened within the, you know, the confines of like the compound on the island, right? You know, for the most part. Besides that, you really didn't see much else going on in other places. So that was the first for the, you know, for the season so far, to have, you know, the lack of mobility, you know, showing other areas, you know, of you know, of the city, you know, of the island, you know, we don't see the city at all this time in the episode, right? The ship, the city, all that's, you know, they're done with that. You know, and I guess lastly, I'll just say that, I felt like, they decided that they really wanted to lean in, more heavily, I think, you know, on the synths right now in the show. You know, like I think that, you know, I think they're really trying to spotlight, you know, or head in the direction of really, you know, really trying to make us care about their stories and their plight, you know. They're differentiating the synths, you know, slowly from episode to episode, you know, and then big time in episode 4, they're individualizing them. Before they were a team, you know, when they first, you know, got birthed or whatever, you know, or made, they were a team, a squad, you know, like a family. You know what I mean? They did everything together, you know. Now, you know, they've broken it up to where, you know, some of them are going their own way, you know, and developing a much more individualistic type of mentality, you know. So I think that you know, it's clearly interesting, you know, overall, you know, seeing the, you know, the synths on screen and hearing the information about them and all that, learning about them. They're cool. They're a cool aspect of the show. They are, you know, and I think in general, how they handle the synths aspect of the season, you know, like those characters, the synthetic characters, you know, the kids, you know, / adults, that squad, you know, I think that how well they pull off their storylines, you know, their arcs, how they, you know, what happens to them as characters in the show, you know, how they handle their story, you know, their stories, you know, I think that that's the weakest link for Alien Earth, is how that plays out. Like that could be the most detrimental element of the show, where it could go wrong downhill and hurt the show if it's not done right, you know. you know, these synth actors are all very young. They don't look very experienced at all, you know? And so, you know, how well they're going to be able to pull off those characters, you know, as they're like getting crazy and, you know, becoming independent and all this shit, we'll see. But I think overall, you know, when it comes to Alien Earth, you know, and it's different elements and story, you know, storylines and side storylines and, you know, characters and all that, I think that overall, you know, all the other aspects of the show are good and will stay good, you know, and have potential and, you know, are working really well. I think the weak spot would probably be the synths, you know, for me personally. And I don't know what you guys think, you know, but I just think that when I see them, you know, in the episodes on screen, I see like a sense that, you know, that there's that possibility that, you know, whatever they end up doing with the direction of their storylines, what happened, you know, their futures, you know, if not handled the right way, could end up looking kind of stupid in a way, you know what I'm saying, or dumb, you know, or like childlike almost. So, you know, besides that, I liked episode 4. Again, I felt like it was short compared to the other episodes, which again wouldn't shock me if it honestly it was a filler episode, you know. Andres was like, damn, Jeff will not stop talking. I'm tired of that shit. I'm just going to cut myself off. I'm going to drop off the show in protest because I don't want to like be rude and disrespect him and say, Jeff, can you shut the fuck up or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You know, you reached your time limit. He just dropped off. You know what I mean? You know, it's like a form of protest. Andre.
Okay, I'm good.
I was talking so long that you dropped off on purpose to
no.
You know, signal
I was
me,
Iceman.
You know?
I was literally Iceman.
I thought maybe you were signaling me that was like the cutoff or something like that. You know?
I was Iceman. My, you know, internet's crazy. But anyway, any more thoughts, sir? Before I go to Cyber, sir. I really like your points. I want to address something. You were bringing up the hour length. This was actually longer than the last episode because the episode 3 called Metamorphosis was 54 minutes last week, and then this week was 58 minutes. So it was a bit like it was like a bit longer.
Well, you know what? I will say this. I forgot, but up until now, I just remembered. There was a couple times throughout the episode where I was like doing things like rolling joints and stuff like that, you know, so I was like partially distracted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that could have affected my ability to recognize the length of the episode.
No, I understand. Like for me, today, I saw it early today to watch it, and I kind of dozed off with my first watch, so I saw it the second time to like see the full episode, and I was like, wow, like because the episode was like very long.
Yeah, I don't know if that's FX's. I'm sorry, Cyber. I don't know if that's FX's like go-to thing. Like I don't know if that's their typical deal. If all their shows have hour-long, 55-minute long episodes, you know. If they are, that's awesome. I think that's cool. You know.
Oh yeah, no, their shows are like kind of like that. I mean, you brought up before, like it really depends on the episode. If you know, like you were saying before, like there's always, you know, there's going to be like a high, high point in the beginning, and you know, we'll come down in the middle before you know we'll really ramp up for the finale of the season. You know, so we're just taking, you know, like it makes sense for this episode kind of like slow down. So that we get, you know, like
my only point is just that studios like FX, you know, a lot of times typically will have a standard, you know, like across the line amount of time per episode, you know, where they want to do that with all their shows, you know, like they all do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay, Saber, your thoughts on episode 4? Go ahead, and please don't make me Iceman again.
So, just what the overall thoughts of the episode? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Before we do the recap of the episode.
Okay. My overall thoughts are pretty basic. I thought, as you were mentioning and how you were saying that you partially thought 3 was kind of a filler episode, this definitely to me felt like a filler episode. It definitely was slow. I found it a little slow for myself. I kind of felt myself wanting to focus my time on other things because it seemed a little too slow. And they just focused a little too much on the androids themselves and the AIs and stuff like that. I just wish there had been more like alien action, where how we kind of got like throughout the episode, we got a little bit, but not to the extent that I would have liked, which is more about alien Earth. You know what I mean? So overall, I think the episode is not horrible. I think it's a good episode, but in general, I definitely think it definitely felt like this was definitely the filler episode of the season.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well. I mean, yeah, I will definitely reset my judgment from last week when it was like I didn't expect that this episode was going to be like a very long episode where we were just like relaxing with the other characters. And I guess last week, I mean, because I was surprised how quick it was for last week, where we were getting every character back to the the Neverland facility. And so for this one, I totally get that we're now kind of developing more ideas with the synths and Android stuff like that. So I agree with you about the group. It's like there's so many characters, but for me, it's like I'm interested on the characters that we have that are interesting. Like I care about Wendy's storyline. That's very interesting. I like where we're going with that. The kid called Slightly, he's very interesting now with this episode. I felt like that's gonna give us more like a high stake. I'm happy that we got more Meryl. He's actually my favorite character of this series. I was happy we got more him talking to Slightly, and like did not expect what he did in this episode. We'll get into the recap. And yeah, and Kirsch, played by Tiffany, was great. Like the fact that he, did something that he heard with the Slightly's conversation with Meryl. That was very interesting. Stuff like the redhead synth, like saying that she was pregnant is kind of really odd, and I'm wondering what they're going to do with that. Is she going to be our bad synth for this season? Because we got so many, like we got the cyborg, we got the synths, and then the hybrids. Let me be honest here, the hybrids with the kids. So because I don't think Kirsch is not going to be our main villain. It could be, Mr. Merrill is going to be our main antagonist, and then our secondary, antagonist, I guess, will be this redhead chick. I guess the other hybrid. I felt her story was just weird that she thinks she's pregnant, but I don't know. We'll get into that. Yeah, but stuff like that. And I just felt like we were just like it. I don't know. I felt like this episode felt similar to episode 3 in certain ways, like without the action. And it's like I agree with Cyber that like I kind of wish we had more alien action. And I'm wondering when this facility is going to be affected by the CMRs. But anyway, good job, guys. Okay, let's get into the recap. Because this one's a long episode, and let's get through it. So the beginning of the episode, we get back to Wendy. By the way, as I mentioned for last week, I like the title credits recap what happened last week. So we get the little recap, when Wendy woke up and hearing those kind of like city morphs language, and in her hearing, she had collapsed, and so we see her back again in this, the room that she's being kind of operated on, and how she got into the synth body. Her hearing is turned offline, being examined by the Sylvie, the damn Sylvie character, and Kirsch, who are talking about the screeching that she has been hearing from the pseudomorphs. And then of course we got the boy coming in and sends Kirsch and Dan away. And same time here, about to turn Wendy's hearing on, Joe comes in and wants to visit his sister. And he's now being healthy again, but he's also being very protective of the sister, seeing that he first finds out that they brought back the alien creatures and stuff like that. Then we got Arthur here, the other scientist. By the way, the other scientist is the husband of Sylvie. That was a big thing. I didn't know. Like, I just thought he was just a scientist. So he is the husband of Sylvie, the actress that is from the movie The Babadook. So he's the husband. So he is there, bringing back the Wendy's hearing online, asks what happened, and Arthur wants to turn off that ability, but Kurtz wants to keep it on. And then Wendy does it too. If the aliens are talking to her, they're kind of having a discussion. They talk to her. She wants to hear them. So Arthur begins the hearing, doing the hearing test here, where Wendy picks up the sound again, and where she emulate the sound of the Seymour. So that was a really cool moment. And then, the boy kind of asked Curly, who's in the room, if she is hearing the noise and able to do the frequency, and she says no. So just adding more fuel to her, her jealousy of the boy with Wendy. And so the boy is so excited now. He wants Wendy to kind of recreate the sound and what she's listening to and mix it. She kind of mimics it perfectly with the others looking on terrified, where the boy is in awe. Let me stop there. Let me go over you, Cyber. What you thought about the beginning here, the whole hearing test? That's pretty much we'll talk about that. The end point is when everyone leaves that room, and where the boy is talking to his assistant about the potential of Wendy talking to the aliens and hearing them. Go ahead.
So the beginning of the episode is okay. I think that there's a lot that they could have done differently than kind of focus on this whole Wendy thing, and her hearing the sound. But it's good that we got clarification of, they did find her laying on the floor, and that, she did, passed out from whatever that sound was that she was hearing. And, I think that kind of beginning sequence there with the tech of the company, who is, we all can agree, he's a big douchebag, and just kind of a narcissist, 100%, because he's intelligent. And, he hit some of his lines kind of cracked me up, and they were kind of funny as hell and just kind of stupid. And I was kind of like, okay, this is interesting. All right. And at the same time, I was kind of like, I find this kind of boring. At the same time, I was kind of like thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, okay, proceed. And as it progresses, and the brother pops up in the room, and she's awake, but she can't hear at first, and then they start doing the test and everything. Okay, it started to get a little better. We're seeing her kind of getting her hearing back, and I think that was kind of interesting. Right, and the decibel levels, she figures out what decibel level she can hear that peacefully. And I think that was kind of interesting. And I think, though, after that, it kind of just gets slow again for me. And it just wasn't anything that I thought, that great. It just wasn't like, this was as good as the last 3 episodes, or this was like so super interesting or anything like that. Because there's definitely times that I've watched certain alien films, and there definitely was little parts of the film that I found boring because they went on too long. And I felt like this episode just was focusing way too much on this scene right here, and it just went on a little too long. I think they could have shortened it a little bit and moved on a little faster to get to some more things, or extended certain things that were more interesting in the episode. But the fact that we have Timothy Olympus there, which was great. I love seeing him. And I love his deadpan characterization of this character that's playing this android. It's like spot on. And anytime he speaks, I'm just like, how much are you being like Mickey from Scream 2 here? You know, a little bit here. That's what I get from him, a little bit of Scream 2 character. But at the same time, it's like he's playing it so deadpan. It's like spot on, like it would be like to be a synthetic or android or whatever. So I think he's doing a really good job. So I have to give him props for that and making it somewhat entertaining. But yeah, definitely, I think up to your endpoint, sir. Definitely the beginning. It has its lows and its highs, and it's not horrible, but it's not anything great.
Thank you. Jeff, your thoughts on the beginning point of this episode?
Yeah, I don't want to say that I think that the Alien Earth episode introductions, what's up, Zero Dark Nerdy? Long C, long time no see, long time no talk. Long time no collaborating, by the way. Hint, hint. Anyways, no, I want to say so far, for the most part, I think the introductions in all the episodes, the initial scenes and everything and whatnot, they're all pretty well done. They establish, and in episode 4, it establishes, sort of quasi, kind of what kind of tempo you're gonna get, or or what kind of sort of episode you might get, kind of in a way, right off the jump, in a very subtle way, you know what I mean, and I think that I really enjoy how in episode 4 and the other episodes too, they go right back into the overall story of the show, immediately when they go into the openings of the episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like you can tell that there's been a time difference, that time's passed, right? You know that, like, there's been, days have passed or whatever, like a day, something like that, like they make it clear that they, that you're seeing, something that is not, in the same present as the last episode, right? But it's all very, intertwined and connected in a way where it doesn't feel like there's very big gaps of time, being passed in between episodes, right? It feels pretty rat-a-tat-tat in terms of the timeline, kind of, not a lot of, crazy important or new events occur during these gaps of time, right? In between the episodes, you know what I'm saying? I guess the only other thing I'd say about Alien Earth episode 4's opening sections are just that obviously what can you say really about that scene with that fucking eyeball alien and all that shit, killing, I guess, and then I want to say reanimating, maybe. Maybe you guys can give me a better word or something like that, or have a better word or whatever, But like reanimated, the whatever that was, that sheep or whatever it was. And if I understood it correctly from what I watched and heard, it like became smarter and like grew more intelligent once like it was taken over by the eyeball, I think it stood up on its hind legs at first at one point, which is not natural, I don't believe, for sheep, right, to do that, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if they were trying to inseminate that was an attempt to try to mimic the scientists, the lab. You know what I mean? A lot of that stuff that happened, I did not understand, and I would love to have more information about what was really going on, with that alien. You know what I mean? Like what it was doing, But I almost felt like for a minute, I swear I could not, I was like tripping. I felt like for a minute it was trying to speak in English.
No, he didn't do that. It's just the eyeball.
Did it try to speak?
No, he just acknowledged the boy that I know you're in the room. Like he just look at him like it just shows that he's very smart.
You mean he acknowledged the people that are outside the glass?
Yeah, exactly. And you're on the money that this eyeball alien does reanimate the sheep, because that was like you remember the first episode, or I think episode 2, the cat.
Yeah, it reanimates it, and beyond that, it takes control of it, almost like a parasite.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like both reanimate and / controlling these creatures.
And it does that through the process of removing the eyeball and then inserting its own self, its own eyeball into the organism.
Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way, that is really gross, and I'm like, that's probably the worst parasite to be controlled by. So,
I think it's very creative. Whoever the fuck came up with that idea, that concept,
I know. It's really cool.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall and heard the conversations that led to that. You know what I'm saying? That built up to like them, deciding to do that with that creature. You know what I'm saying? Because that's pretty far out. So I mean, honestly, dude, that scene with that fucking animal, that sheep or whatever, that alien fucking earth, that eyeball alien, was really disturbing. Very interesting, creates like tons of questions, from the audience, you know what I mean? In terms of like, what's going on, what is this thing? You know what I mean? It was an eerie scene, man. Watching that fucking animal, that sheep or whatever, just staring at all the, the synths and the workers and all that behind the glass.
Yeah.
Like acknowledging them, you know what I'm saying? And like having a stare off almost, I mean, it was like, what's his name said? Whatever that species or creature is, they're obviously highly intelligent,
Yeah. Pretty intelligent.
Yeah.
We'll get into that scene more in depth. It's a very interesting scene, and I hope that will be the perfect death for the kid, the billionaire kid, because I think that'd be cool to see the eye thing take over his body, and that'd be like,
oh, what kid?
That's his name. The billionaire, the smart kid that owns, like, he's the one that created the whole hybrid project about turning the kids.
Whatever his name.
His last name is called Kevlar. That's the kid I'm talking about, because his first name is literally called the kid. No,
the Star Kid guy or whatever.
Yeah. So the main human villain, whatever. Anything else?
Honestly, I wouldn't. I'm 50-50 if I had to guess on whether or not he'll survive this season. To be honest with you, he seems the kind of character where they could consider killing him off. To be honest with you, but we'll see. You know what I mean? Honestly, he's potentially could be a very vulnerable character on that island. If more of the synths get crazy or malfunction, he he would end up being the #1 target for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, even a bigger target for Wayland, Yatani. Yeah.
Nah, the synths would be the ones that would have the most reason to want to, hurt him and kill him and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Wendy, definitely the crazy red chick is crazy, so she definitely can come after him.
Yeah, he's their creator, he's their god. You know what I'm saying? And the way the way he's interacting with them and talking to them and treating them, manipulating them, lying to them. You know what I'm saying? Eventually it's probably going to come back, and kick him in the ass. I think.
Yeah, no, it will. I could see that happening.
I mean, he walks around freely throughout his compound without security all the time, totally vulnerable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Even without Kirsch being around, like it's kind of funny that he doesn't have like protected like bodyguards or like androids.
Well, he's in his own home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's like you say before, his arrogance and hubris is kind of like
I'm sure when he goes out in public and stuff like that, he probably always has security guards and stuff like that with him. You know what I'm saying? And all that, right? But most people, even really rich people in their own homes, do not have security in their houses. Securing their bodies. You know what I mean? That's a little bit overdoing it. Plus, he's the man. He thinks he's the fucking man, and that he's untouchable. So he's not afraid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, he's not afraid.
He's one of those super intelligent genius type guys where even though he's a pussy and he's never bet the scrap in his life with another dude, he believes that because he has superior intellect, that means that he's almost untouchable or above having a physical fight with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like he's beyond that.
Yeah. I know. Especially in the beginning of the scene, he, the way he treats his workers and like even with Joe, the brother, it's like very, very selfish a lot of the times.
Well, he's a little bitch. He has absolutely no fears at all in life. You know what I'm saying? He believes he's untouchable. And that he has everything under control, and that there's no possible way he can be hurt or danger or killed by anybody. On the island. You know what I mean? He thinks he's got it all worked out completely. Yeah.
All right. Let me move on to the next scenes. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Last thing I will say, yes, I honestly would consider I would consider betting money on the fact that he's probably one of the most likely people on the show to actually stupidly go into that fucking lab by himself without any protection and get killed by a creature.
Yeah, definitely. My bet is on the eye creature, but yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah,
I can just imagine him deciding that, he's so superior and godlike that he can just walk right in there and try to talk to one of them.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Especially now that seeing Wendy can communicate with these creatures, maybe it's not out of the realm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we saw him try to walk right into the fucking lab by himself or whatever, right off the bat at one point.
Oh yeah, like was it in episode 3 last week? Yeah. No. Yeah, it was only Kirsch that's like saved him because he knows the egg being hatched. Like
he was gonna walk right in and start fucking with the creatures. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
There you go.
Good point.
There you go, Cyber. Love you. I love you, brother. I hope you appreciate it. I set you up with a nice 17-minute Andre's a pop culture guy special.
17. More like 66, 60-minute man again.
Yes, he is. Slack asleep. That's what happened.
All right. Let's move on. So, speaking of the assistant, the assistant called Adam Ings, that's the bullhead guy that is like the primary assistant for Kelvers. He is asked by the kid to like tell Joe that he can stay, but he has to still work. Now works for him, so he permits Joe to stay. But with one big catch, he now works for them, If he wanted to be with his sister, he agrees. Like Joe agrees to these terms to be with his sister, but he does this thing where like he goes back and forth with the assistant Adam about, look, I want to take my sister back, and then the guy just literally kind of stops him there. It's like, look, like almost like OCP RoboCop thing where like no, he or Jurassic Park thing where like no, we created Wendy, she's our property, she cannot leave this facility. It's you can stay here, work with us, and you can still see her. So that was the deal. And so, this is like a devil's deal kind of thing where he's like, okay, I have no choice here. I want to see my sister. She's the only family I got now. The dad passed away. So he agrees. And after that, we see him going with Wendy. Wendy shows her, like, the brother, her very, childlike room, complete with the stuffed animals. If you pay attention to that. She wonders if Joe is mad at her, but he says, no, I'm not like angry at you. I'm just angry with the lies from the company because we thought you were dead. I mean, I was like a reasonable reason to hate them. For those who create the new her for not letting him visit her past form when she was dying. And yeah, then after that, he's here now through as he's there now, that's what it matters for him. So then after that, there were the little kids again, and then I was cracking out towards the end of this episode, seeing the Ice Age again, Ice Age 4, if you want to know what movie they were watching. So that was funny, and so they hug each other, and that was a cute scene. I didn't mind that. Then after this, we get the really cool stuff. This was my favorite episode. I don't know, my favorite moments from this episode. Sorry. Despite, as we've been discussing, it's a very slow episode, but there were moments that I really liked it. Seeing Meryl, the cyborg, again, is great. He's the best thing about the show. And he's talking to Slightly, the Indian boy. As you know from last episode, he put something in his neck, and which is a communicator. It's this, like, communicator chip in his neck. So he's able to communicate with Slightly far distance and like almost like a telepathic way. And in this scene, he is kind of continuing to tap into Slightly's network and talk to him. He wants the hybrid to bring him a alien aid, and then he's trying to trick the boy that like it's not stealing, but is already Yotani's to begin with, like that's Yotani's property. And here, this whole scene, it's just like Meryl is totally manipulating him, and even like doing this weird thing where like he's telling Sly to give him his real name, which was a big no. When he said that, I was like, something was gonna happen, and it did later in the episode, which we'll get into. By the way, let me. Just give me his first real name from Slightly is Arash Singh, and he's going to wish that he never say that in my notes. So let me stop there. Jeff, what do you thought about the scene where going to you again, the beginning part where Joe is talking to the assistant about you have a job here, you can stay and see the sister, up to the end point where Meryl is talking to the Indian boy about getting the aid and getting his real name, the Indian boy's real name. Go ahead. What do you thought about those sequences, sir?
Well, you know what? I don't want to be a Debbie Downer at all, but I just really want to point out that I feel strongly after watching episode 4, and then after the decision that they made in episode 3 for them to actually, take Joe with them, to the island. I don't know how I feel about that move, right, and that decision, and how I feel about him being a part of, a show, the show still, but now switching sides, I guess, right? In the story, right? And, being sort of held against his will on the island, to work for them and all that. I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me like I don't find the story of the relationship between the brother and the sister, right? I don't care at all. Like, I don't fucking care. They can eliminate that whole dynamic from the show completely, as far as I'm concerned. And then have, more action or like more aliens and stuff like that and creatures or whatever on screen during that time. And I like that more personally. I don't know for right now at the midpoint of the show, episode 4, I don't know, what the direction of their relationship is going to be, how it's going to play out overall. And I just have a very small, feeling, that, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of the, main storyline and main, characters, and focuses of Alien Earth as a show, I feel like their relationship as brother and sister, is just not very compelling at all to me. It's not very entertaining or like exciting at all. I don't know. I don't really feel like this type of TV series, this kind of like sci-fi horror aliens TV show, needs to have, an emotional, relational, type of storyline going on, But that's just, I don't want to, beat it to death. I guess my point simply is just that I'm interested and also a little bit dubious as to like how that whole scenario with their relationship is going to play out overall throughout the season. The direction of it. It could potentially get really boring or stupid, to be honest with you. And then, of course, there's always the chance that, Joe could die next episode, right? Who knows? But I don't believe that'll happen. I have a very strong feeling that Joe will make the whole season. They consider him a main character. So, besides that, I think it's interesting learning through the show, how or what goes on with the healing process of the synthetics, right? In terms of rehabilitating them or from injuries and all that kind of stuff. I find it interesting, seeing her in the cradle, healing, but not being able to talk and all that kind of stuff. That's neat, and I mean, what else? What was the cutoff date again, Andres?
The cutoff is the Mero talking to the Indian kid and him telling him to get the alien egg, and then plus, and learning about his real name.
I really love it and appreciate it if I could somehow find, or somebody would give me, or I could discover some kind of link to something that could explain what that fucking device actually is, right? And and a picture of it too, to show it, like what it looks like before you put it on somebody, because we didn't really see it. So I would absolutely love to hear about like the boring, technological, scientific, way that they created that device, right? And then also I'd love to know how it actually works, since they've given us no explanation or no details as to how that device even works, right? I'd love just to have the bare minimum explanation of like what that device does, because there's aren't they speaking to each other like telepathically?
Yeah, it's more like a what do you call it? A transporter, like a transpod. Let me say that. Like, it's like a communicator kind of thing where they're talking to each other in like a link. It's like
does the Indian, whatever his name is, does the Indian synthetic kid?
Like, yeah. He hears what he's talking about.
Does he hear the audio out of the device, or does he hear it in his head?
It seems like at the moment, it's like, I think he's hearing it in his head. That's what it seems like, and so that's how he's hearing him. So that's.
Are you sure?
Well, that's how they're playing it up to be. So that's my reading of like seeing this technology from.
Didn't he initially, if I remember correctly, when he first started talking, didn't he like run away or move away from other people or whatever because of the sound?
I cannot answer that because I can't remember last week's episode. I think not. That was different. I think.
Okay. Now Murrow, right?
Yeah.
Just again, just for shits and giggles, right? I can't remember. Can he verbally, audibly hear the Indian kid talking to him through the device?
Yes.
Or is he receiving the information telepathically?
Like, no, it's like a general conversation they having, and it's just like it's a very high tech thing where he's able to talk to him from a distance.
Okay, so it's a basic audio device.
Audio device.
It's just extremely small and barely visible.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the purpose of it. Because remember, he's trying to get the egg, and so he's trying everything in his power to get it.
Was that an implant, that device? Did it implant into his throat, or was it like a strip?
The way he did it last week's episode, it was it went through the neck. Because remember, he's a robot, so he doesn't feel what's gonna happen to him. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't know he did that to him. He just remember he was talking to him, saying the line. Are you not a machine? Stuff like that.
I think that I'm pretty positive. Cyber could back me up. I'm pretty positive, if I remember correctly, they do feel pain. What's her name, Megan, or Wendy, whoever her name is, when she fought that Xeno. He hurt her.
Yeah. No, they're not indestructible. Seymour's a lot of things can hurt these kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the dude snuck that device into his neck. He just espionaged it up in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's how he did. Yeah, that's the whole point of the communications, the whole spy thing.
Yeah, because they gave them the ability to feel pain. I know that for a fact they did.
Yeah, and plus, if you've seen the previously alien movies, a lot of these things do get hurt quickly. Ash gets completely hurt by one of the crews, and Bishop in Aliens literally gets torn apart by the alien queen.
Yeah, so, but those are totally different kinds of synthetics. What they're working with the kids or whatever, they're totally different things.
Yeah, but they're different because they're kids. They're hybrids, but at the same time they still can get hurt. Kirsch can be hurt too. It's just it depends on what kind of creature or
they
whatever.
Can get hurt, but they're very durable.
Yeah,
overall,
exactly.
They're not going to get ripped apart in half. You know what I'm saying?
No. I mean,
or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
No. It has to be some big creature that can do that. I mean,
no. All of those hybrids or whatever are augmented. Their abilities are augmented. They're stronger, faster, more durable. You know what I'm saying? All of them. You know what I mean? honestly, you know, we have no way of really knowing, right? But you know, I think they can take a lot of punishment. Personally, that's my point. I think they can take a lot of punishment.
Anything else? That was the end point. I mean,
I guess just that. To go back a little bit, the bald-headed security guy. That's you know that's kind of nefarious, you know, and kind of evil looking or whatever. Comes off evil. He's kind of the muscle or whatever, you know, for the team.
Yeah, for the team. Yeah.
I enjoy his scenes. I liked you know, I liked the conversation with him and Joe, you know. You know, and kind of the you know the things he said to him, you know, his dialogue was interesting, you know. I mean, so yeah, you know, I thought that was cool, you know, and also like very, very emblematic of like of what we know about the time period of Earth, of the corporations, you know, from the comics and the movies in terms of what happens, you know, that and those stories, you know, what happened with him and Joe in terms of like, you know, being forced into like a lifelong contract to work for the company and all this kind of shit, you know, or you're gonna have to pay back your loan and all that kind of stuff. Stuff like that happens all the time in this, you know, during this current Earth, you know.
Yeah, no, I was surprised about that. Like he, you know, the build and all that. Yeah, it was very truthy.
From what I understand, from what I've read and heard and seen, or whatever, you know, it's very commonplace that you know, in this stage of time in Earth and in the universe, for you know, a lot of workers in the workforce to be taken advantage of, not treated very well, and forced to sign, you know, these crazy long contracts with companies to work for them for like, you know, massive amounts of years, you know.
Yeah, it's a similar thing with like if you have seen Alien Romulans, there was a scene where the girl, the main protagonist, was trying to leave, but the company like made this the thing where she had to earn more extra credits to leave.
Yeah, because she signed a contract at that colony to stay at work.
Stay at work, yeah, and that's what you know, this other company just did with Joe here, so it wasn't like a big surprise. But yeah. So it's
That's what happens when you let corporations run the world instead of governments. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, before you know it, you know, everything changes with the employment market and the rules, and you know now, all the jobs are contractual.
Yeah. When we get to that scene when Joe explained that. You know, we had governments, but then the 5 companies took over. I was like, God damn it, please no. And unfortunately, that could happen in real life.
Look how they. I mean, that's the thing I'll say. You know, look how they handle business. You know, and like you know, and like you know, and all that. Like in this future, you know, like if you have a gripe with your job or something like that, or an issue, you gotta go to a fucking computer. You know, a robot to talk to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a big issue. With everything we had to call is like either machine or something like that. Yeah. So, any more, sir, before I go to Cyber?
Nah, sir, I think I'm good.
Awesome. So, Cyber, your thoughts on this section where the assistant called Adam is talking to Joe that he can stay, but he cannot take his sister back, and like we saw like a bit of him spending time with his sister and watching Ice Age, and then the end point is Meryl is talking to the Indian boy called Slightly and like telling him to like give him the alien egg, and plus learning about Slightly's real name, which will cause more problems to him. Go ahead, sir.
So basically, this part.
Hold on. That's not what all this happened. He also told the kid to bring in somebody else with him, a human, so that
That's much later. I'll get into that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's in my notes, but it was my mistake. I'll get to that later. But Cyber, go ahead. Thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up.
So basically, I mean, this section, once again, like I said earlier, this portion just kind of bored me. I didn't think it was anything that great. I didn't think it really added anything. I mean, having the brother and sister do things together, I'm like, okay, this is okay. But not really, I felt like in the alien world. This is not something I wanted to see in the, for alien Earth. I mean, yes, you can show a little bit, but like I said earlier, like with this portion, once again, they could have cut it down just being smaller. They could have definitely cut some things out and extended things. Like as we were talking earlier about the eyeball creature that takes over the Sheik's brain and body. That was really fucking cool. And I would have loved to have seen more of that. I would have loved to see more of all that going on and things going on with those creatures in that cell area that they're testing them on, stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. That was when it really kind of entertained me, got me into it, because it was actually doing the sci-fi-ness about it. It just, to me, sometimes if you get too involved with the characters, it could take away from what the whole series is about. And this is supposed to be called Alien Earth for a reason. We're talking about alien creatures, which is what the first 3 episodes did very solidly, is we saw aliens very continuously throughout those first 3 episodes. So then, like, concentrating on the robots in this section, I was just kind of like, why don't you just call it AI instead of Alien Earth? I mean, this is basically what you're showing me here in this episode. So, I have nothing against having the AIs or the robots or the synths or whatever in the Alien, series. They've been in several of them, which have been very entertaining. But when you make them too much of the focus, it tends to take away from the overall reaching thought process of what Alien Earth or aliens or Alien or Alien Resurrection are all about. It's about the aliens. And so when that becomes the focus, which is what this episode really did, to me, it was just a little too Disney-fied. And them keep talking about Wendy and Peter Pan and cracks me up through this whole damn entire thing. Like, why do we keep calling them because they're in Sith bodies, they can now live at the age that their human bodies were at. I get that. I definitely get it. I got it the first time you talked about it. You don't need to keep repeating about it. So it's kind of like, okay, all right, So this portion that, they get through that, they give us kind of that stuff, slightly, of course, he keeps being talked to by the cyborg and him trying to get slightly to do things so that he can get the egg and so forth and stuff like that, which, is that I get that. I understand that whole situation. That kind of gets entertaining a little bit, but how slightly is dealing with it? I don't think he's dealing with it properly. I don't think he's dealing with it more maturely. Because he's a child's mind in an adult body, it's definitely, he's not taking it as seriously as he should be, I feel. And so it's kind of like him kind of unraveling as he keeps having conversations with the cyborg. Cracks me up.
There.
Anyways, so, as we get to your endpoint, sir, I think that, the whole section, for the most part, is okay. There's some interesting aspects to it, but other than that, I didn't really care for this section of the episode.
No, I kind of understand where you're coming from, Cyber. Yeah. I'm fine with what they're doing. I just think I just need more, as you were saying, for more adult stuff than these kids. I mean, I don't know why they made the decision to make these, have the kids be the central part. Like the Alien franchise is all about adults, and you can have a young cast. I just brought up Alien Romulus, a great Alien film from last year, and that was a young cast, but you had good young cast. Kylie Spaney, she was a great rising actress from Priscilla, and Bad Times of Royale, great film. So she's a really good. But with this, it's kind of why we need to make the kids to be androids and have robots. It's just, it's very
Stranger Things, Andres. Come on,
Stranger Things. I mean, Stranger Things. Whoa, Stranger, like you got one kid that has superpowers. That's it, and then half the cast is young cats. You know, that's all. We're not doing
Yeah,
AV.
but that show proved that you could have a really super high level successful show based off of child actors again. That could work.
Yeah, that's. I can see where you're coming from. Anyway, so I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. This part is like not my favorite, but the only part that I like was just really the Marrow part because I just like the character and just the way he's talking to this kid slightly. Okay, so we already talked about quite a bit of the goat scene. I agree, you guys. This is the highlight of the episode. Just to kind of confirm, like the goat alien, like when Kevlar draws his attention to himself, and they hold like each other's gaze, the alien knows that this is the human to pay attention to, and so very interesting. But that's gonna probably be the downfall of the kid, maybe. But we'll see. Great scene. I liked it. We need more of that. Like I don't know if this facility, as I brought up before, going to be affected by the other aliens, because we know there's other aliens besides the Synthborns, and the iconic aliens we have in this franchise. But okay, and then after that, we so this is the main part. I'm going to stick, and then end point here is that after that, the husband author takes Sylvie away from the lab to have a private conversation. He is very concerned about how Wendy is now being used, but the damn thinks that they can do more than one thing, and she sees that the boy Kevlar as a risk taker, but to Arthur that's not science. Her husband wants her to think about what will happen if everything goes to hell. They're interrupted by the confused nymphs. This is the redhead child or girl, woman, whatever you want to call it, who tells them she's pregnant. So we got this really awkward moment where she tells them that she's pregnant, even though she's a machine, and that's impossible. Seeing that she's having a mental breakdown because of the attack on the alien. It was funny. The alien that attacked her was the eye. So the alien eye attacked her, and she's completely traumatized. So anyway, the dam takes nymphs away to talk. Realized that there's not enough time was spent talking to the hybrids about their new and bigger bodies. So after that, we see the scene where the dam wants to show nymphs a chart, talk about, well, first off, she talks about how like babies are made, and then after that, the kid doesn't really respond to that, and then the dam shows her a chart with like the details of the hybrid bodies, but the hybrid reacts violently and yelling and knocking the chart away. She is definitely a kid. And then after that, the dam wants to talk about the innocent, the accident and the attack she had in the tower. But although we see kind of like the flashes, like they show us the flashback of her getting attacked by the eyeball alien that's now in the sheep, she doesn't want to talk about it. And then the dam says the creatures cannot get to her anymore. And then she snaps and pushing the dam, who is now terrified. She like this part was like really horror. Like this what we need. Like we need more horror stuff in this. And like when the hybrid chick like snaps, like she jumps over to the room to her and like holds her, which was like crazy. And so that puts her very terrified. And despite that, you're seeing that like some of the hybrids aren't doing so well with their new bodies. And a good example of this is this redhead chick. So then pushes a button for a silent alarm. So she begins to talk her. Said the simp baby chick begins to talk about her baby again and like coming up with names, which was kind of ridiculous. Then after that, the security shows up and takes Nibs back to her room, and then the damn Sylvie tells them to secure her door, put out a alert for a level 3 event. What does that mean? You don't know? I want to know more about that. So let me stop there. Cyber, let me go back to you. What do you thought about this whole sequence? Seeing the scientist's husband talking to Sylvie, the older lady, his wife, about what's going on, and then getting interrupted by the redhead chick android that's saying that she's pregnant, and then the whole scene of her not responding to the wife's conversation and almost attack her and being put in lockdown. Go ahead, sir. And that's the end point.
Who are you talking to me, sir?
Cyber. I was talking to Cyber, sir, not you. Cyber. I say Cyber. I'm going back to you, sir.
Did you say that was the end point?
Yeah, the end point is when the girl is taken back to the room, and the older lady tells the security guard to put a level 3 event. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I mean, this section is not too shabby. I mean, it gets a little more interesting here. We get a little more stuff going on, from your endpoint before up to this endpoint. I think that's when it really starts to get interesting, is when the girl comes up and says she's pregnant. I think that's absolutely hilarious, especially since, she's like 12 years old and she's never had sex and she's in a robot body. So I think that's, absolutely hilarious. And so, she's definitely something is not right with this robot or synthetic mentally, even with the mental transfer or something happened, because as we have seen, she has not been the same since that eyeball creature tried to attack her. And so they really haven't addressed that until really now. And, and she's talking to her and she's explaining how, I just have a feeling, I know it. And you're just kind of like, okay, all right. There's something definitely wrong with this synthetic. I think we have an ash level here again. Maybe we should take it out back and take care of it. Type is what the thought process I would have. But, they, of course, unfortunately don't. They're like, oh, let's try to talk this out. And, oh, God. Anywho.
Wow.
So, and I swear, like, what the hell is going on with these synthetics? Because definitely something is going on with them. They're not 100%. We have seen it through the last 4 episodes. All the characters, several of them, been having issues, and you tell, with, of course, Wendy, and then, of course, now this.
Cyber. Maybe Boy Genius purposely installed some kind of fucked up component or some shit like that in their brain.
Maybe. Anywho, I think that it definitely this section, like I said, gets interesting here, especially when they're having their kind of like combo session on the thing, and she's just kind of like sitting there, like explaining things and stuff like that. And then that lady that is supposed to be like the scientist there, that's supposed to be married to the other scientist guy that was conducting the hearing stuff earlier in the episode. She totally gives me vibes of the in X-Men Last Stand, the older nurse lady at the place where they had the one kid that's able to give the cure.
Yeah.
She totally makes me think of her. And I don't know if the actress just isn't that great at what she does, but she is just deadpan as shit in it. And I don't get any emotion from this actress at all. And I don't think that it plays off as well as it could. And I think that, her kind of like thought process is supposed to be almost like synthetic deadpan too, when she's not synthetic. She's supposed to be a human. So I think it's kind of funny. But overall, other than that, I don't think this section, other than the particular portion I mentioned with, the girl thinking she's pregnant, I think that pretty much it was filler type-esque, thought process and wording that they brought up here until we got to that point. And I think that, that at least really brought me back into it and made me interested back into the episode.
Thank you, Cyber. Yeah, very weird session, but the actress that played the what you're saying, the like similar doctor from X-Men 3, the one that's handling the cure stuff. She's a great actress. I just she's Australian. I don't know if it's just because she's acting to be like an American. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they made. I mean, I don't know. I have to rewatch these episodes, see if she's yeah, she is definitely pretending to like she's acting to be like American, but it's weird that she's Australian. But I don't know. She's a good actress. I always liked her and stuff, and plus she's in the horror movie Babadook, which she's great in that. Jeff, your thoughts on this section of the crazy redhead chick saying she's pregnant and almost killed this doctor?
What was the end point? What is that the end point? Are we going to the end point of the episode? I was confused.
No. We're still talking about the episode, sir. So the scientist's husband is talking to like Sylvie, the female doctor, about the risks they're doing with the hybrids and all that, and then they get interrupted by the chick called Nibs, the redhead, about she's pregnant, which she cannot be because she's a machine. And then the end point is when she's in the room with the female doctor, like she's trying to talk to the android chick about her attack on the eye creature alien. But then
I know. And then she the chick starts to flip out and lose it, and then the button gets pressed and all that. Yeah,
that's the end point, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, what I was trying to say to Cyber there a minute ago, when I kind of just jumped in there for a minute with him, just to expand, this is a kind of TV show, a sci-fi horror TV show where like, a lot of twists and turns could happen by the end of the season. A lot could happen. A lot could change. I think that honestly, I have a really hard time remembering. But I haven't slept much the last 2 days, so my brain is like mush. So like trying to remember names is hard. But Kid Cutie or whatever the fuck his name is, the main guy there, superstar. He's such a like twisted, evil, unethical, despicable, super intelligent, manipulative type of motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, eventually they're probably gonna show even more of like the depths of like what he's really about down the road, I think. But I mean, he's obviously like a really dark, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's one of those crazy back in the day rich guys, that would like, pay to shoot other human beings, out in hunting ranges or whatever, or out in the wilderness, paying to hunt people and shit. He's that kind of guy, so like in his process or his desire to somehow create that entity that's going to be able to have that master level conversation with him, or be smarter than him or whatever the fuck he wants, if that's even true, if that's even really what his goals are, in some form or fashion, it could be possible that, in the process of designing the devices and the machinery and all that that make it possible to create the hybrids, it's very possible that he could have added, or subtracted things, elements, hormones, programming, devices that could be implanted, you know what I'm saying? All kinds of shit that he could do, with these fuckers. So you never know with him, like, he could have, other goals, you know, along with those goals that have to do with other stuff, like more sadistic, you know, like more like, you know, more devious, like sexual, like, you know, ruthless type shit, you know? You never know with him. So, you know, my point simply is just that it would not shock me if not just the chick that thinks she's pregnant, but if other members of the hybrids end up acting out or like, you know, become dangerous or you know, rebel, you know, or like you know, or become like an assassin or something, you know. You never know, you know. So, you know, we'll see what happens with all that, you know, but it's interesting to see where that could go. I can totally see, of all people, that crazy, you know, rich guy, you know, being the type that would sabotage that process, right? For, you know, for bad reasons. So as far as the hybrid believing that she's pregnant, I'm not really sure what to make of that. I don't know. I could not really make sense of like why she would like, you know, be so focused on that, you know, or why that would be important to her. That's not the same hybrid that in episode 3 got close with Kid Cutie, you know, or whatever, right? That was a different hybrid. The one that said that she wants to be the new favorite or whatever. Yeah.
Curly is the one that wants to be the new favorite for the
the redhead chick that fought the eyeball creature is the one that thinks she's pregnant.
Yeah.
The one that, you know, and hopefully she's you know, of legal age. The one that's cute, you know, and bangable. I have a very strong suspicion that all of those actors and actresses that play those youthful hybrids are all actually legal adults. I guarantee it. They're all of age.
They're legal adults, sir. No worries.
Yes, they all are. I know they are. That's how it always is with Hollywood. So nobody ever wants to actually cast teenagers, you know. I you know, I was wondering at what point down the road, you know, like one of these, you know, fucking hybrids was going to become dangerous at some point, you know, just because they have so much potential to harm a human being, right? They're so dangerous. They're so strong, you know. I mean, they've already explained that earlier in the show that they tried to make an effort to mimic puberty, right? That they added things or did things, you know, to the hybrids, you know, gave them like artificial hormones and stuff like that to make them try to, you know, quasi experience the feelings of adolescence, you know, of puberty and growth, you know, as a teenager and all that, right? But we don't know how well that worked or how successful that will be, you know. It's completely, you know, new territory. Nobody knows, right? You know, so they're flying blind with this shit, and it's very possible, you know, that, you know, besides that, you know, the eye alien creature attacking that chick and maybe affecting her, that you know, just because of the process of how they were made, and then, you know, what they did to try to, you know, create an artificial puberty and all that kind of stuff, that could possibly get fucked up, you know what I mean, or you know, or be off, you know, like not be done right, you know, and you know, at that point, it's not shocking that one of the hybrids would start to like develop more adult like, you know, thoughts and dreams, you know, and like delusions and stuff like that, you know. And now again, why she thinks she's pregnant, why she's focused on being pregnant, naming it, all that kind of stuff or whatever, why that became important to her, I have no fucking idea. I did not notice anything that happened in the episode that connected to the pregnancy, to where like, you could figure out maybe where it came, where that thought came from, right? But like she said, in her old life, she worked on a farm, so she understands sex and birth, and babies, the birth and all that, So like, it's very possible that she retained other memories from her previous life, having to do with pregnancy, childbirth, marriage, all that kind of stuff, and so she's going through emotions like that and dwelling on stuff like that, but I'm really looking forward in the next episode to see the repercussions and what they do with her after they took her to her room with security, once she flipped out, I thought that scene was really well done in terms of being scary. That redheaded hybrid, even though she's not a very big girl, she came off very intimidating in that scene, and she looked very menacing, like very dangerous, and for a minute there, when she put her arms on the doctor or whatever shoulders, I honestly for a second thought that she might kill her. I did, just crush her, you know what I mean? I honestly, I thought that actress that plays that doctor or whatever did a great job of portraying her fear during that whole thing. It was obvious that she was deathly afraid, like mortally afraid for her life, So, it's obviously really cool, but like, a no-brainer that they would have a panic button in the rooms, right? For these exact reasons, honestly, the last thing I'll say is just that, I wanted to see like the redheaded hybrid chick, hurt the doctor, or fight the security. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to see personally, but that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But I have to imagine when they tell them they're going to take her baby away or whatever, how they're going to say it. You know what I mean? That, she's not going to take that well.
Yeah, I agree. Very curious how that storyline is going to be. As we brought up before, these synths are very powerful.
Well, how she thinks she's pregnant when she's like an intelligent, AI, with a computer in her brain, synthetic hybrid, like, you know what I'm saying? Like how, knowing that she grew up on a farm, how she thinks she's pregnant when she knows she's never had sex, is just kind of confusing.
Yeah, it's a little weird. In the same episode,
she did mention that the Immaculate Conception with Jesus and all that stuff. Yes.
Yeah, and she says she's from a farm. I don't know if she's that religious. So I'm very intrigued.
You don't have to be religious to know that Jesus was born.
But just the way she say it,
a miracle.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's just the way she say it. It sounded like she was like this type of, she's one of those person that probably grew up in that kind of like tight, family, whole household that are like we were into church.
I'm sorry, my good friend. I disagree with you 100%. I did not get that vibe at all. Any of that. I didn't get heavy religious vibe. It's very common knowledge and well known around the world that for most people that how Jesus was born. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. I'm talking about like afterwards, like she's saying that like God is the one that brings kids. But
yeah, anyway. you have to also remember these hybrids have been educated and taught and trained. You know what I'm saying? By specialists and teachers. You know what I'm saying? They know about the world. You know what I mean? They know about history.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Anything else to say, sir? Besides that,
No, sir. Just that hope you don't mind me shutting you down and making it clear that
I mean, I don't know. I think that scene was just creepy. It's just the way she just talked about like Jesus and all that was like very odd.
honestly, sir, sir, I can totally understand why you might have that opinion. I get that.
Yeah. But no, you're right. I think that is common knowledge. I mean, she did say something. I'm just like, remember, I had to rewatch it because the first time I was like kind of dozing off.
Any type of being, any type of synthetic being or robot or amnesiac person or whatever that has to relearn everything and all that who's taught knowledge, or get is educated, is going to learn about Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No. I agree. That makes sense. Okay, so let's wrap up this whole episode, sir, and get the hell out of here. So, all right, so we meet again with Kirsch and Toothless. He's that young kid that's helping out Kirsch with the experiments, and they're pretty much watching the alien control ship. And then we get this this is quick thing. He decided to change his name to Isaac after Isaac Newton. He's becoming more intelligent because they're giving him a lot of more. They're updating his brain to more almost like Data from Star Trek Next Generation or Brainiac, similar to Brainiac 5, where he's growing into this now more mature and intelligent kind of adult instead of a child. So Isaac is a very interesting character. I like the redoing something with his character. And then just briefly, we got a scene where Wendy was supposed to meet up with Sylvie, but the boy genius was there, where he kind of compares her fighting with the scene more to the crocodile fight in Peter Pan. That was our major Peter Pan reference for this episode. And he asks, so there's here we have a kind of a deal. The boy genius tell Wendy that she can have Joe still be allowed to see her and stay in the facility, exchange, help him figure out what the aliens are saying, and that Joe can remain with her. So they both agree to that, and so that's what happened. And then after that, we get the scene where Slightly is talking to Meryl, and this was my favorite moment of the episode here, where they were talking to each other. But Kirsch, by the way, Kirsch is a great character too. He's another one that I really like. So he actually does a wiretap on Slightly, and he taps into it, and he listens to the conversation they have. So he knows that Meryl is onto the facility and knows what is going on. He wants the eggs again, and so he's having Slightly to be his kind of hitch person. So the scare hybrid tells the man that he cannot get into the lab, but that it won't work for Meryl. Then we have this fantastic scene where Meryl is actually with Slightly's mother, and was threatened to maybe kill her. But he told the secret that her son is not dead, and which was kind of crazy, and tells afterwards that your family will be killed if you're not gonna do this. So Meryl has to change his plan though. So instead of him getting the egg, Meryl wants Slightly to bring a human to one of the eggs. So that's what happened, and so he explains the whole face hugger process to Slightly about how. Bring the human after it falls off. They have a bad couple days. Make sure they're comfortable. Very slightly sarcastic way, and he tells Slightly to give. He's gonna give Slightly 24 hours to choose someone, and to and be the victim of that. So after that, we later on get to the Lost Boys. And Joe are together outside, where the latter is telling about the hybrids, about the information how the government wants to rule, and apparently that didn't work. So I guess the government is not a good thing. And then apparently the 5 corporations step in and rule everything here. And so here we got the explanation how each one are, and then how Tony wants the specimens, aka the Seymours and all that, back from the crash ship, as Joe is explaining. Slightly walks in, upset that Joe is allowed to be there, and Joe understands. He thinks all their families should be there. It's confusing for them. Should they demand to see their families or accept who they are now, etc., etc. So, but then Wendy leaves to visit the boy genius in the lab. Ray talked about that scene, but slightly stares Joe down very creepily. So he pretty much shows Joe as the victim, maybe, because we get the last scene where at night Joe is looking at his wound of like what is it, his lung that got heavily damaged. So he stares at the window, and that was like kind of creepy. And then just wrapping up the final part here, in the lab, Wendy looks at Joe's lung, and she starts doing like the Seymour sound, and then slowly, first Kirsch is there. She watches her from afar. Then all of a sudden, like the lung like pastures, and then a Seymour just explodes from in and shattered the glass, which that was really cool. And the baby stares at Wendy, but instead of attacking it, which I was kind of surprised, it is drawn to the mimic sounds that she makes. So like whatever she's doing, she's like communicating the Seymour, which is crazy. So it even allows her to touch it, which is crazy. So the hybrid is kind of fascinating, but Kirsch doesn't look so pleased. So I guess Kirsch is going to be the most reasonable person of the group here, because and the fact that he's a synth is kind of crazy. So, and he seems to know more than anyone how bad things are about to get, and that's how we end the episode. So let me get to Cyber here. What do you thought about this whole finale? What do you thought about Meryl threatening slightly with his family and tell him to get a human first to be affected with the egg, and then pretty much the final point where Wendy is talking to the city monster? Go ahead.
So, I mean, this is where the episode really kind of, gets going. The threading of Slightly's family, I think, is pretty obvious. I knew that was coming, especially with, Morrow talking in his ear all the time. After putting that implant on him to be able to communicate with him, you knew that something like that was going to go down. So that was just obvious. And, him pulling that about the parents, I'm like, I wasn't shocked. And it wasn't anything like I was like super worried about it. I'm like, yeah, he's a kid. He's not really that smart yet. So, he's not really it's going to affect him to a certain point, but it's not going to be like, if you were to do it to an actual adult. So, I think that, he is not going to do the right thing in the right way, definitely. But at the same time, it's like you're threatening his family. You're kind of like, you didn't see that coming, bro, after he confronted you and everything. Like, I mean, come on, think about it. But then I think the best part was when the xenomorph comes out of the lung and what's her name starts talking to it. That was freaking awesome. I loved the little xenomorph. That was so cool.
Wendy.
I loved how that worked. And I loved how, Wendy and the xenomorph like we're like bonding almost. Like she was petting it like a fucking dog, and I was like, what the hell? I'm like, these aren't pet creatures. These are alien creatures that are parasites that kill things. I'm like, this is kind of cracking me up here. I'm like, he's petting it, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was kind of cracking up hardcore, and I was like, what the hell? But at the same time, though, I thought that the graphics were done really well. Like, I thought it looked really good. I thought the puppet looked really awesome. And that's one thing I've noticed about the show is that they really did put the production value into how these creatures are looking, especially with the xenomorph in the first couple episodes and so forth. I mean, even that lung looked really realistic, too. I thought that was really done well. And, I think that the ending with the xenomorph coming out of the lung was the best part of this episode, meaning we're pushing into something even crazier. And the whole like relationship between Timothy Flimpett's character and that other synth that they kind of have a relationship going there, that they're working together and stuff like that. To me, that's another thing that you don't really need. You don't need that bonding. You don't need that in this, because you already have kind of a main central story about the Wendy character, who is, already, we have her bonding with her brother, so I mean, by putting in too many relationships throughout the show, you're not able to focus and really give a full story arc to one particular one, because you got too many things going on. So that was one thing that I thought, like, they didn't really need. Another thing they could have cut out. But other than that, I thought it was a really solid ending to the episode, and looking forward to seeing what they do with episode 5.
Thank you, Cyber. Yeah. Ending was very yeah, the cinema looked good. That's like the not grown face Seymour, because it looked like the original, because like in Aliens, the sequel, you saw he had arms, which was kind of weird. But anyway, Jeff, my boy, you're up. Tell me your thoughts on the final part of this episode, sir, and go ahead. You're off the leash, sir.
So, if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it if you would just really quickly, briefly give me a rundown again on what that session was about.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Just kind of give me your thoughts about like Meryl, like really blackmailing slightly to like get him a human with the xenomorph, because he threatened his family. Now his family knows that their son is not dead, and of course the Lost Boys and Joe are together outside, and then that's kind of where he explains about like the 5 corporations are ruling everything in the world, and that's where like slightly kind of thinks he wants to make Joe as his victim, and then the kind of like the end point is where Wendy is talking to the xenomorph, and that's pretty much it at the end point, sir.
Oh, okay. What was the thing with Joe? Did I miss that? What was going on with Joe?
Joe is with the with the group, the kids, and like he's with Wendy and the 3 other kids.
Oh, when the one was pissed off because like why can't she have her sister or whatever?
Yeah. Like why her brother is there, not mine, and all that. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Hey, on a show like this, when it comes to stuff like that, and you got, adolescent / teenage, characters and adult bodies, or whatever, fun, silly childlike crap like that's going to happen, between a group of people like that, all young, anyways, so I guess I'll address the why I can't ever remember her name. I have no idea. Megan, Wendy, Ellie, whatever the fuck her name is. The main character, hybrid. I thought that scene with her. I don't think she was talking to the alien. She was like petting it or whatever, like touching it.
Yeah, well, first she makes first she makes that like sound, and then somehow the Seymour comes out, and then instead of attacking her, he kind of like listens to what sound she was making, and then it kind of just allow her to.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I don't know what was going on with me, but I didn't even notice that she was making that sound at that thing.
Yeah, it was weird, but yeah.
How did some random face hugger come out of nowhere like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, where would there have been a random live face hugger in that compound?
They injected it into the lung at the end of episode 3 after they pulled the lung out of Joe, and they put it in there purposely from one of the eggs that they were dissecting.
What? Wait a minute. Did they actually show at some point? Did I miss it? Did they show?
They showed it at the very end of that episode.
It bursted out of the liver?
Yeah, it was in last week's
yeah.
episode.
Yeah, they showed putting it in it, but it showed it busting out this episode.
Okay. Did it just kind of like, slide out of it or whatever? Or did it break through?
It broke through.
It broke through, yeah.
Okay. All right. I must have missed that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I did not even realize. It must have happened quick because I did not even see it. You know, I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess, you know. You know, just taking that one living piece of the face hugger in episode 3 and adding it to a human lung created a whole, you know, new adult face hugger. That's actually pretty interesting. You know, that was neat, you know, having a face hugger come out, you pop out, you know. And you know, I do find it somewhat weird in a way, kind of, and like a little bit far-fetched in a way, that they made it to where whatever her name is can talk to the xenomorphs, to the aliens. I don't know if I missed something, and like they explained that that was bred into her scientifically or something like that, you know, that they did that to her, you know, I'm not sure. Or if that's just something that she developed on her own. You know what I'm saying?
So what it seems like, it's like the aliens somehow chose like her to communicate. That's what it seems like. I don't know if the boy genius like had some like xenomorph like organisms.
The aliens wouldn't have chosen. They wouldn't have known about her or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, and
I know,
like,
but
and they don't have the powers or the abilities to you know what I'm saying, to you know choose a human and like make them speak alien.
Yeah, it's weird. It's something I don't know. Like I like because the thing this episode brought up, because we haven't really touched on, is that she is like I don't know if you've seen the movie Lucy, the Scarlett Johansson movie, where she was able to control 10% of her
Come on,
brain.
bro.
Like
who back in 2012 or 2014, whoever, did not watch Lucy?
Okay, well, you know Lucy, but it's similar to this where she is able to control everything. Like you remember in episode 2, she was able to see her brother in one of those camera surveillance things.
Yeah, she had the ability to electronically transfer her digital image from device to device to device and everything and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And in this episode, we discover why she's hearing these, like, you know, the Seymour voices is because she's catching on the what's the word, frequency.
The frequencies. Okay. So she can detect the alien frequencies.
Yeah, exactly. And then this episode, she was able to like mimic the sounds, what, you know, the Seymour sounds like, and so that's how she's able to like control this creature towards the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We'll have to see how that, you know, how that plays out, if they explain more about that down the road in terms of you know, whether or not she developed it on her own just because of her own abilities and her own altered abilities and IQ and all that, you know what I mean? Or if it has something to do with some kind of tampering, you know, with her creation. You know what I mean? Where they somehow added some kind of, you know, xenomorph cells or something like that. You know what I mean? Who knows, you know? But obviously, if she can talk to the xenomorphs, that makes her like super valuable, you know, to Prodigy now. You know what I mean? Like super valuable, you know? So she's like untouchable now, you know, like they're not gonna want her to get harmed or hurt or anything to happen to her, you know? Because she's the alien whisperer, you know what I mean? So I don't know how I feel about that whole deal, just because of her relationship with the aliens, where she like feels bad for them, you know, like, and cares about their feelings, all that kind of shit and all that, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? It's whatever to me. besides that, I guess I would just say that there wasn't very much Kirsch in this episode, but when he was in there a couple times, he was good. I liked what he did. It was interesting. But he really did not get much play in this episode at all for the first time. The stuff with the Joe with the hybrids and all that, sibling rivalry, jealousy, all that other bullshit. I thought that was really dumb. I don't care about any of that. Joe just feels and seems like like an odd man out at Prodigy. It doesn't even really make sense for him to be there. How he's really even going to be logically useful to them, I don't really even get that. And why they stole his lung from him, I still don't understand either. He wasn't injured, I don't think, was he? Did he actually need to have his lung transplanted?
Yeah, I mean, you remember in episode 3.
Did the xenomorph fuck him up?
Yeah, because his tail got strapped through, was it left, right side, whatever. Cyber can correct me, but to the side there, and his liver got hurt. So they took it out and gave him a new one. So.
Oh, okay, all right. So they didn't just rip it out.
Yeah, no, they had to do a surgery on him to replace it.
I don't know. I swear, I don't know what you guys saw, but to this day, I still think that's the biggest lung in that tank I've ever seen. I've never seen a lung that big.
Yeah, I know. But hey, that's fictional.
That lung is fucking massive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. The ending song by Jane's Addiction was great as usual. Great choice of a band. For the final song. Not one of their best songs that I can think of. Not my favorite. But then again, Jane's Addiction was before my day, so maybe that was a popular hit song back then. I don't know. But either way, it was a great selection in terms of the band they picked. I'm loving the bands that they're bringing in to do these final songs. And I love that they decided to go with a heavy metal, hard rock, alternative rock kind of deal, right? With the music at the end. I like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it suits an alien TV show to have music like that.
Yeah.
So, what was the final closing shot of the episode? I can't remember.
It was like Wendy kind of doing, I don't know,
hugging the alien and all that.
Yeah, it wasn't hugging. It was looking at the creature amazed, So that was the last shot, and that's it. And then we heard, and then you brought up the ocean song from the band, and that was
wait a minute. That wasn't a face hugger. That was the metamorphosis. That was the actual
the xenomorph. Yeah.
That was the baby xenomorph.
Yeah, it was a baby xenomorph. My bad. If I
so a baby xenomorph exploded out of that lung.
Yeah. Because remember, they laid the seed into the lung as Cyber's.
That's what we said earlier, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Again, just a little shout out. That fact said to Kirsch, I really would have enjoyed a 5-minute explanation as to how, cutting out that one piece of that, facehugger somehow being added to the lung, then created a chest burster.
Well, they did explain it in the ending of episode 3. When they cut it out, you look at the creature that's in their hand, and it's the embryo from the facehugger that gets implanted in a person to grow the xenomorph.
Yep.
Okay, so they actually cut out the specific embryo itself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the embryo that happens to, on its own, it is alive. It moves around and,
Just
Yeah.
like a human female egg is alive and the sperm of a man is alive and gets inserted to create the baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was last week's episode. It was towards before Wendy dropped down to the
No,
ground.
no, I get it now. It looked like an embryo. It definitely looked like a sperm inserting into egg or whatever,
All right. Thank you, sir. Let's get into ratings and then we'll go plug out of here. So let me start with you, Cyber. How you rate this episode, sir?
I'll give it a 7 because I thought the ending was really decent and it had some good portions in it. But other than that, definitely it was a filler episode and I have to give it a 7.
No, I understand. Jeff, your rating, sir?
Definitely a classic by the book filler episode. Our first one during Alien Earth. It will be very interesting to see if we get another one at some point. If I had to bet right now, I'd say I don't think we'll get one, and I think the rest of the show will be great. This will be the one time that they do one. But I've been wrong about that before. So you never know. We could, end up with episode 6 could be a filler too, but I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? I really do doubt it. It seemed to me like their goal was to have a lot of shit happen in the episodes, they want a lot happening. You know what I mean? So I don't think they're gonna, want or wanted, to do a lot of filler stuff overall. I think that this series is only going to get heated up and like a lot more crazy shit's going to happen down the road. I'd say probably that I give the episode I'd say I'd give it a 6 because not a lot of really interesting or cool or exciting stuff happened at all, like at all. And the dialogue in the episode, none of it was all that good. There wasn't any like great dialogue, You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't any solid dialogue or anything like that during the episode that I noticed. Besides that, the story for the episode was kind of boring and sort of like discombobulated. It was all over the place.
Yeah, that I can agree.
So they decided to make some changes and focus, and focus more on some other different characters and less on other characters, and they removed the elements from the first 3 episodes that people really liked, which were the xenomorphs, the creatures, Moreau running around killing people and being a cyborg and all that shit. You know what I mean? And they slowed it all down now for episode 4.
Yeah, I agree. That's all.
Yeah, just it again. I said they just didn't do a lot with this episode. They didn't do much. They didn't make an effort to make a lot happen at all. Nothing. They didn't really do anything that progressed the story at all into the season. And this kind of, nothing moved forward.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I kind of in the same boat with you guys. I think Cyber, I kind of will say like I'll give this. I'll maybe put it up like a 7 out of 10. Really, I kind of agree. This was definitely a filler episode. I liked it more than you guys. I don't mind like a slow episode with. I think there's good dialogue. I will disagree with you, Jeff. I think there was good dialogue in this episode. It was just like, again, we didn't have the horror in the scenes in this. Like, if we had more like the alien, alien ship, ship taking over, kind of moments like that could have made this episode better, but we didn't get that.
Sure, I like slow episodes of TV and movies too. Those kind of movies and TV shows have to have great dialogue and great characters. And, you know what I'm saying? Good story.
Yeah, and one day I will disagree. I mean, this yeah, it didn't move forward with the plot, but like it did set up more crucial plot lines that we're probably going to see more develop in the episodes. But yeah, I'm with you guys. Yeah, it's a filler episode, but next episode's title is interesting. The episode 5 is going to be titled "In Space, No One," and then it has the ... So I'm like very excited about that. So anyway, so thank you everyone for joining us in this spectacular, Alien Earth episode 4 discussion. Sorry it went a little long, but I'm using Collider recap because there was a lot they did in this episode, which was great. So I needed to hit the major points. So let me give it to Jeff. He's gonna plug us out. Thank you so much. I'll be back again in 2 weeks for episode 6 of Alien Earth. So thank you guys. Jeff, it's your turn, sir.
No problem, sir. You'll be back again for episode 5 of the panel, sir.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. My bad.
And you have nothing to apologize for, sir, because it's only been 2 hours. And in general, a lot of times, these recaps do take 2 hours. So you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. I mean, again, this was a long episode for a filler episode, so I was like, yeah. Anyway.
In the past, when we've done TV series that have episodes that are 50 minutes to an hour long, those recaps usually, depending on the amount of guests we have, they usually do take 2 hours, 2+ hours.
Yeah, true. Yeah, very true. Yeah. But yeah.
All right. So here we go. Let's do our plugs. I'm about to get the fuck out of here. MCU's Bleeding Edge in the house, and then about to be out of the house. Andre's the Pop Culture Guy. Pop Channel presents. Get after it.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show's Alien Earth. So I'll be back again doing more the shows later on in the month. But if you want to check out my content, here we go. Andreas Pop Culture Channel presents. Just recently post my favorite musician's birthday tribute. I cannot say her name right now, but she's a good artist. Tomorrow night I'm gonna post
Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa, thank you, Cyber. Oh my God, now you're
Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa, thank you, sir. I'm blessed. Thank you. You helped me. Oh, you saved my life, sir. Anyway, Dua Lipa, great person. She's a great artist. Tomorrow night I'm gonna post my top 10 Tim Burton movie moments. So check that out. And shorts, I'm gonna post another Wednesday moment. And I'm gonna post my Weapons movie review. I just recently saw Weapons this week. It's a great horror film. I will post that movie review in the next 2 weeks. In the next 2 days, sorry. But anyway, that's where I'm at. No live streams this week. I need to schedule and pick the movies for September. So I'll get that to Jeff and all that. And then that's all. Thank you so much. My channel is growing, so that's good. So that's all I need. Please support me in Cyber and the MC Bleeding Edge to grow even more.
There you are, sir. Support MC. Support Andre the Pop Culture Guy. Support the MC Bleeding Edge. And support, somebody in the audience getting a hold of StreamYard and figuring out why I can't use my microphones right now. So I can get that fixed or whatever. I really would like to get back to doing that. There you go, Mr. Cyberneticshark, sir. Your headphones work.
Anywho, folks, if you enjoy me here on the panel or as a moderator, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Patreon, pretty much anywhere there's a social media platform. I am there. You just look for Cyberneticshark. You should find me, all one word. As you see there, I finally put up my Fantastic Four First Steps review. Check that out if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen my Jurassic World Rebirth or Superman movie rant. Definitely check those out. Those are my most 3 recent videos that I just put up. So keep an eye out for those if you have not checked them out. Fun content. And of course, I put up a couple Evil Bong mini reviews today for my shorts recently. I just finished watching the entire series of that, and they are freaking hilarious. If you have not seen them, check them out on Tubi. All of them are on Tubi, even the offshoots, which are Ginger Weed Man and the Ginger Dead Man. definitely check them out. They're really fun, really funny. And if you haven't seen Honey Don't, check out that mini review too of that as well. Be having more content up for you guys soon. More reviews. I got Nobody 2 done. I got Honey Don't done. I got Bad Guys 2 done. So forth and stuff like that. So keep your eyes out for more stuff to come. And definitely we'll be getting more content for you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching us here on the MCU's Bidding Edge. Keep subscribing. Keep watching our content. Keep sharing us with people so that we can get all around, folks. So we appreciate you.
Hell yeah. Just like Cyber said. Most definitely. Ditto to Cyber. And great job. I'm just a pop culture guy, sir, as always, getting it done with the moderation. And, Cyberneticshark, sir, great job, sir, on the panel, as usual. Always good to see you, man. Appreciate your friendship and your loyalty and all that, and all the years that you spent with me, making content and being on the bleeding edge. Time flies. It's been a long time. Shout out to fans or supporters of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Follow, rate our podcast, which is, of course, very important to us. And I would love to see happen more. We do not have a lot of ratings, and that would be outstanding if we had a couple more. I'd really appreciate that. Besides that, we're back, the three of us, for what us will be Friday night for Peacemaker, Season 2, Episode 2. And Cyber's moderating. And that should be fun. Totally different kind of TV show, I can tell you that. Not at all like Alien Earth. Totally different vibe. But that's cool, though. I enjoy it. I like it. So anyways, Alien Earth was great tonight. We're loving the, covering it. It's a great show. It's a blast. Hopefully it will only get better. Everybody that's come on seems to like the show and enjoy watching it and enjoy talking about it. And we'll have some great guest creators coming on in the next couple of weeks to help us cover these episodes. So we got 4 more left. And sadly, that's it. It went quick. Unless I'm wrong, and they stuck in another 2 episodes and made it 10. The last time I checked, it was 8.
Yeah, still 8.
Well, there you go. Anyways, I honestly, I would have liked it if they would have done 10. But what are you going to do? So, for the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and for Cyberneticshark, and for Andres, for myself, Jeff S., a.k.a. TrueKnowledge, we love everybody out there. We appreciate you. Whether you catch us in audio podcast form or in digital video or live form, you're all wonderful people either way. And we say God bless you. Peace out. We will see you next time. And we'll be back next week for Alien Earth Episode 5 recap.